Adam Bamborough. I live in Ringwood. I've not actually been here before in person. It usually kind of clashes with the time me and my wife put our kids to bed, but
I'm sorry, could you repeat your last name for me? So I can...
Bamborough, B-A-M-B-R-O-U-G-H. But I wanted to come here and say what I have to say in person and looking at folks in the eye. The thing I wanted to talk about is trust and honesty. I think that's really important to me. I think probably a lot of people in the room. There's something that was mailed out to thousands of Ringwood residents with the names of three of the kind of council members here, our deputy mayor, Councilman Rabaki. I got your name right.
Yes.
Unlike you, for me on social media, but I won't go there, and Councilwoman Kerr as well. This is really terrifying. It's really scary stuff. It talks about what's going to happen in the next election if you're not elected. Really compelling stuff. It's very specific. Unfortunately, not a single word of it is true. It's not a slight exaggeration. It's not a slight kind of a play. It's not a playing politics. It's a complete lie. Complete lie. Not being argumentative, I'm stating a fact, none of which is backed up with proof. And the reason I'm here is to say, as I said, we talk about honesty and truth and trust. At the moment, I think this is a good opportunity, while this is recorded, for those council members to apologise for lying to thousands of residents, and hopefully gain some trust back of why anyone should trust what's said in these chambers. I think this is a responsibility. I think all of you, as elected officials, have a duty to be honest, and I think we can do better, and I just wanted to give you that opportunity. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
This is not my statement. I'm reading on behalf of Kate Foster, who does live in Ringwood, but since you guys don't allow people to call in, she has to work tonight, so she asked me to read this. I would like to clarify some disinformation that is going around. The military banners were done at my request during a conversation with Councilwoman Mateo Landis. On May 3rd in 2022, I sent a message to her asking if Ringwood had any plans to do these banners. I mentioned the fact that Wanacue had done them and that I felt it was a fantastic way to honor the veterans. I even mentioned that I would buy 3 of them because my father and both his parents were veterans and Ringwood residents. I provided a link to Wanacue's page. I also offered to help in this endeavor. I think it is fair that the public know that it was at the pushing of a resident that they were done, that this wasn't thought up by the current council. Also, at the last council meeting, September 19th, the council voted on resolution 2023-214. That resolution was absolutely disgusting. Your job is to stand up for all residents of this town, not a minority of people that just happen to be loud and obnoxious. The guidance issued by the state was aimed at preventing discrimination and bias crimes. Your demanding they rescind that tells me that you are more concerned about protecting the rights of bigots to hate and spread hate and fear than to protect those that hate and fear are aimed at. The New Jersey Public Education Coalition has data they recently released. With approximately 25% of school districts statewide reporting, which is 168 districts, there was a whopping 2.9% opt-out rate for the health curriculum. When you look at student numbers, 346,457 students in the reporting schools, it was 0.4% median opt-out rate by district. So you're demanding that the 2.9% or 0.4% have more rights than everyone else who either have no problems with the guidelines or are the very people that the guidelines were put in place to protect. If someone wants to have so much control over their child's education that they are demanding the right to discriminate against others, then they should be sending their child to private school or homeschool them. I am a founding member of a race, and racism and sexism everywhere. I remember a time when the town was proud of what we accomplished and supported putting an end to all forms of discrimination. And now in 2023, the current mayor and council are telling the residents of this town that they don't matter, that they don't deserve to have protection against being discriminated against or bullied. When I was in Lakeland and we formed a race, I signed a pledge saying that I would stand up against all forms of discrimination. Never in a million years did I think I would have to do that to the governing body of this town. And again, that's Kate Foster's words, not my own. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen Ewing, Ringwood, New Jersey. Good evening. Last month, the Council presented Resolution 2023-214 in response to a state document regarding diversity and inclusivity in public schools. Your resolution reflects strong feelings. I'm here tonight to ask your help in understanding more about what worries you. The New Jersey document suggested ways to ensure a more inclusive school environment and itemized actions that can help or hinder it. The underlying premise of your resolution is that the state and parents in Ringwood are at odds with each other. What makes you think that? For whom does your resolution speak? Is it a product of your individual and/or collective objections? Is it the product of constituents' objections? If so, what are those objections? If so, how many constituents communicated them to you? Was it 20? Was it 2? Was it 200? When did they object? The state document is dated June 26, and this resolution was ready for the September meeting. I have just a few specific questions to which I'd like to hear specific answers. 1, to what materials or lessons do you and/or constituents object? 2, the resolution refers to controversial educational materials, etc. What controversial materials has Ringwood been asked to employ? 3, the resolution refers to state threats and intimidation. Has the state intimidated and threatened Ringwood? If so, when and in what specific ways? 4, what holidays or celebrations does Ringwood wish to not observe or discuss or teach? 5, what books has the state accused Ringwood of removing on the basis of the author's race, creed, etc.? 6, and last, I'd like to hear your thoughts, really, each one of you tonight, on diversity and inclusivity. Do you think such ideas should be taught in school? If not, why? And if so, how do you propose to accomplish that? And I asked this last question because I was a little surprised last month to see a resolution like that generated from this body as opposed from the Board of Ed. So I thought, well, maybe you guys have better ideas or some other ideas about how to get there. I thank you for your attention. I look forward to your responses. And if you want, nobody will, but I do have my questions here. If anybody wants them, I can give them to you if you'd like to look at them. Yeah, you would like to?
Peter Sando, Ringwood. Hey, let's see.
November 21st.
I had some questions.
November 21st.
November 21st. November 21st. Okay, we'll call you. Okay?
Council meeting.
Yes.
Sometimes we have space meetings.
Mark, unfortunately, your mic's going to pick up and it's going to block this gentleman from speaking, so I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mark. Mr. Sando.
Good evening.
Continue.
The lease with St. Catherine's for a community center, the term and the rental amount, I'd like to know that. Scott mentioned that 2 insurance policies had been exhausted. Is there anything left? That's the other question. And regarding the inflammatory Republican literature that's been sent out, a resident asked for an apology, and I didn't hear an apology. And obviously, you have no shame. It's really opposite day to attack Democrats, generally and personally. And I think it's beneath this town's dignity. The other thing is, obviously, you're not happy with the news article that came out. Being familiar with the Upper Ringwood community and their strife, I think it was informative. I think it was accurate, and I think people should look at it because it really made some important points. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sando.
I think your meeting just cut out.
What's that?
I got a text that the meeting cut out, so I don't know if it came back, but it went out. Oh, came back. Okay, so Robin Kennedy, Ringwood. So there's still a lot of misinformation, I think, about high-density housing. For clarity, if people really want to know what's going on, they should watch the YouTube recording from August 15th, 2017. At this meeting, high-density concept was first introduced to the public. Mayor Spears explains in 2014 the town applied for Highlands Grant for Economic Sustainability. The Highlands Council delivered a plan at no cost to the Ringwood taxpayer. It was for economic development in keeping with the Highlands restrictions for our area. The council rejected this plan, as Mayor Spears explained, because they had a different vision and wanted something more. The main goal was to develop an economic development plan. Mr. Dunn is introduced to present the new sustainable economic development plan and states that he's been working for months with CLEMAC and HEC to develop this plan. He was hired as special counsel for the governing body. In addition, the town hired a planner, environmental consultant, engineer, and architect. The purpose is to present their thinking on how best to revitalize our Skyland Drive corridor. Mr. Dunn outlines areas of redevelopment: Fieldstone Plaza, Pagano, Ringwood Plaza, CVS, Greenwood Lake Turnpike, and Skyline Lakes Drive by the diner and Haskell Paving. They perceive this plan as an opportunity to get more ratables. The town manager states that this plan will have a positive influence on our community, revitalize our downtown, solve the vacancy issue, and increase tax revenue. Tom Dunn explains that Ringwood could fight tooth and nail against any responsibility for affordable housing since we are 100% in the Highlands Preservation Area. He says that the council has opted not to do this because it would undercut the plan they have put together for redevelopment. The concept plan is presented as Ringwood Crossing. Jim Martucci asks if the impetus behind all this is affordable housing. Dunn and Schaefer immediately respond no, that it's about economic development. It's clear that economic development is the impetus for Ringwood Crossing and high-density housing. Mayor Spear explains it's not about affordable housing, it's about economic development and ratables. He states we need to do Ringwood Crossing for economic development. Councilmember Landis speaks about how excited she is at the opportunity to create economic sustainability. She states we deserve a thriving town center and this really needs to happen. Today, you claim that you prevented the plan that you paid for. The only thing that stopped this preposterous idea was the fact that the Highlands Council rejected the plan to run a sewer down Skyline Drive to Ringwood Ave to connect it with the Wanacue Sewer Treatment Plant. It isn't surprising that there's a lot of confusion around this issue since the story keeps changing. Recently, the mailing that was sent saying if Democrats get elected, there'll be high-density housing on Skyline Drive could not be further from the truth. The current council brought us into this mess at great expense to the Ringwood taxpayer. They've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars pursuing it. Now they want you to believe that they alone can save us from this. I encourage those in attendance and anyone watching from home, go to YouTube, search for the Ringwood Council meeting, August 15th, 2017. Here you can hear them say everything that I've just summed up today. And hopefully this recording doesn't disappear from the YouTube channel, since a lot of our minutes are no longer on the website. Things are disappearing. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. You can hear me okay? Okay, good evening. Ellen Ewing, Ringwood, New Jersey. As you remember, I was here last month to ask questions regarding Resolution 214. You never that night extended even the courtesy of acknowledging my questions, let alone answering them. My questions were and are sincere attempts to gain information. You are my representatives, and you're my neighbors. I emailed each of you the next day. I said then that the best I'd hoped for was that the mayor or deputy mayor would make a statement about supporting parental rights. Ms. Landis, your reply to that email, and I thank you for it, was exactly what I expected. But I disagree that 214 is a simple assertion of parents via the state. It was strongly, and in some cases I think even vehemently, worded and specific and detailed. So my questions are also specific and detailed too.
Good evening, Peter Sando. Ringwood. I want to talk about this campaign that we just experienced. So you the Republicans circulated a video clip of me at a meeting questioning the status of the zoning of the cell tower and claimed that I wanted to raise the taxes on Erskine residents. When I tried to check the context of that exchange, because I was sure that it was taken out of context, I found that the streaming channel was unavailable due to maintenance. That's right before the election, council meetings were unavailable. I was told that Mr. Heck was now in charge of public access. It was truly a heck of a coincidence. You know as well as I do that I was questioning whether the corporate interests, the billion-dollar corporate interests that have invaded our neighborhood were paying their fair share. And this would actually reduce taxes on all Ringwood residents, including Erskine. You know, it's not so much the personal attacks that bother me. We've come to expect that from this Republican Party. It's happened in every campaign, going back to the 1980s, I'll show my age, when Mayor Spiegel was harassed and forced to resign, and all the subsequent rabid character assassinations, often lodged at my friends and family. We knew that was coming. But the deception. You ran a campaign of lies, false accusations, and pretense. This piece here in particular, if Ringwood Democrats get their way, and you see there's a bulldozer here leveling all dirt. If Democrats get their way. And it goes on to allege that we would be the ones developing high-density housing on Skyline Drive. And I had to laugh to keep from crying. It was like, we are you and you are us. Opposite day, BS. You just have to look at the other side of Fieldstone and see the Jerry Wyckoff Preserve. Preserved forever. Democrats did that, and that's what we've been doing for 20 years, for more than 20 years. In the end, it worked, and you got your 100 extra votes, and I suppose you don't care as long as you won. But you really should be ashamed of yourselves. Ringwood deserves better. Congratulations.
Hi, thank you, Tall. Ringwood. I'm going to be going about 30 seconds over, and since there's not that many people here, I hope that's okay, Mayor. And I want you to remember 3 words: freedom of speech. In 2004, I became the first female mayor of Ringwood. Since that day, Mr. Heck has led a concerted effort to defame my name and ruin my reputation. For over 15 years, Republicans have lied about my role in the passage of the Highlands Act. But let's finally set the record straight. The person who, as part of the State Environmental Committee, wrote, supported, and voted, which I could not do, for the Highlands Act in 2004 was Republican State Senator McNamara, who represented Ringwood. McNamara also supported and voted for the Watershed Moratorium Act in 1996. Has nothing to do with the Highlands Act, by the way, Jamie. While he represented Ringwood, Republicans never lobbied for watershed aid, which West Milford receives. What did the elected council do? 0. Yet, Jamie, you had the nerve to state in a campaign letter that I cost the borough millions of dollars in tax money. This past election, the Republicans, led by Heck, stooped to a new low without one positive achievement They relied solely on lies, personal attacks to win a Pyrrhic victory. I am very proud of my daughter Breeze and her running mates, Eric, Erica, Mark, and Dan, for getting into the political fray in Ringwood, knowing they would be targets of personal attacks and lies. They ran the best campaign I've ever seen in Ringwood. No lies, just facts, and no personal attacks. The Republicans went into the gutter to win. Jamie, you went to school with Breeze. You played softball with Breeze. I'm shocked you would stoop so low in order to become mayor, a job you do not deserve. I've watched for the last 15 years as Mr. Heck, a political operative, has run the town by lying to the public. I keep wondering, is there such a thing as legally lying, Mr. Klimak? Mr. Heck's list of lies are probably longer than Trump's. There are three recent lies I would like to share with the public. 1, Heck said he was not the lead advocate for the quarry because he was not on the council until 1994. But the quarry did not receive their license until 1996, and Heck paved the way for the most environmentally destructive business in the world to gain a foothold in Ringwood. 2, Heck said at a recent meeting when asked, I think it was asked by my husband, the borough never supported the purchase of the convent by the state and county, when in fact, in a 2010 North Jersey News article, it reads, the Ringwood Council resolved to let the borough clerk enter talks for the purchase of part or all of the property of the convent in cooperation with state's Green Acres funding program and the county's open space. Heck withdrew the borough's support with no vote by the council, a terrible missed opportunity. 3, Heck said at a recent meeting, the work at the Superfund site was stopped for seasonal issues, when in fact, the work was stopped and is still stopped for mistakes in surveying, causing the recycling center to be moved, the plans redrawn, and the cap restructured. He withheld this information from the public, especially from the people who live on the site. This is how the borough is run, lie by lie. No one knows what's going on behind closed doors. The Republican Council's decisions never, ever reflect the will of the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Staub.
You're welcome.
4 minutes, 39 seconds. I'm not Chaconian about the timing on it, like I have an egg timer.
I appreciate it, Mayor.
I got 4:36.
You know, Mayor, I'm not even sure how to address that campaign of hate, but on a night when most of our community is celebrating the interfaith service, I find that this is just unfortunate. First of all, the streaming contract is done by our individual in the other room. So he is the person who's changing the contract, and that's not done by myself. And Mr. Sando well knows, since he was on the cable TV committee when they wrote the rules, that the manager, going back 20 years, is the one that's ultimately in charge of the TV station. Mr. Sando also knows that Ms. Tracy Lawrence did an outstanding job for many, many years until her unfortunate passing. We've never had issues with cable TV. Mr. Sando filed for, to put some videos on Channel 77. Of course, he didn't use his own rules. All I merely did was send him the rules, say you have to fill out these forms, and then we can move forward. The personal attacks have to end. I don't know where Ms. Sando, it's my turn to speak, Ms. Sando. I listened to you, it's my turn.
Keep lying.
I think that
Ms. Sando, please.
the
You have your
rea-
opportunity. I give you plenty of time.
I'll be back later.
the reality is, there was a terrible campaign. many of the attacks were on this administration, were on this building, were on the employees of this building, and were at employees' homes. And I have to tell you that I'm hoping that that never happens again. The fact that she wants to attribute whatever the Republican Party did to me is unfortunate. That's insulting to all the people that ran for office. I don't pretend to be the one that's in charge. I wish Mr. Crisatelli was here because he could probably address these things. I'm not going to go point by point because it's just senseless. Clearly, there's a 20-year hatred, and that's not going to end, and that's unfortunate. I am not an elected official. I am an official that is an employee of the Borough of Ringwood that has rights, and I will explore whatever my rights are as we move forward, because you just can't say things that aren't true, and you can't say things that are inaccurate when you know they're inaccurate. So with that, Mayor, I'm going to go into the body of the meeting, because on this night, we should be thinking about peace instead of hate.
Agreed. We should learn to move forward. And like I said to the president of the Garden Club, thank you, Sarah. Next, we have the second general public portion. Same rules apply. Please step up to the microphone. Anyone wishing to address the council, please state your name and town of residence for the record, and you'll have approximately 3 minutes. Let's find it in our hearts to be kind.
Peter Sando, Ringwood. Yeah, so yes, Mr. Heck, I was on the cable TV committee. I served with Tracy, and she was amazing. I don't think if she were here today, she would have allowed that channel to go down for such a long time. The streaming, everything was brought in by her, really. I think they changed one thing about it, but the council meetings were always available for streaming. And it's amazing that whoever created that clip of me, I think they circulated to people in Erskine to try and, to associate my last name with the candidate, which was correct, but they had access to that video somehow. So, I don't know where it is, but somehow they got that clip. I couldn't look at it. I couldn't get the context, but I know what the context was, and I'll say it again. I think that the borough should explore getting more tax revenue from the multi-billion-dollar company that bought that cell tower. Has nothing to do with Alpoa. Alpoa is going to get their money as per their contract, or maybe they don't have a contract anymore. I don't know. I don't really know what the particulars are, but they should try and extract some tax revenue from that company. They can afford it, and they've ruined our neighborhood, so there should be some compensation to the borough. Anybody down on the lake that looks up at that mountain, they see that tower, just like when they look at any of the ridge lines in Ringwood. That's the Republican legacy of changing zoning so that the ridge line over Skyline Lakes and the ridge line up over Skyline Drive, where zoning was changed, and our vistas are ruined. And also, as far as the cable rules go, I'm well aware of the cable rules. I think I filled out a form before you even told me that I had to, because I'm aware of the cable rules, and I was also on the board of Skylands Clean, who I believe had to go through some legal action in order to get some of their informative material aired on Channel 77, and that's why we have cable rules, and that's why we do have public access, and that's why we've always pushed for open and honest government. That's it.
It's the Sando Tall Show tonight. We are Breeze's parents, by the way, and you tried to use that against her, which is abominable. She grew up in this town. You're all horrible. Anyway, do you have DEP approval for the turf field? Anybody?
No.
No?
No.
And you're proceeding, spending all this money without DEP approval? Isn't that what happened the last
You
time?
cannot get DEP approval without plans. You have to provide DEP something to react to. You have to fill out an application to require plans.
And you haven't done that yet?
Correct.
Oh, interesting.
Fascinating.
Very fascinating. By the way, DOT grants are just so easy to get. Just fill out the form, you get it. It's no big deal. It's not hard. Okay? The other thing is, Mr. Heck, of course you answered with lies. Democrats did not attack anyone in the last campaign. Zero. Prove it. Prove it. Okay? Let's see your proof. And I don't think it's my obsession or my hatred. I am now a regular person that lives in Ringwood. I've lived here for 40 plus years. And you, every campaign, I sit up, I'm amazed at how many times my name comes up. I can't believe how important I am to you, Mr. Heck. Anyway, you did get $50,000 in overtime, which I don't know how that happened, because you have 3 jobs. But what the Democrats did not put in that mailing, which is all factual, is there's another $21,000 worth of perks. That's $71,000 that Mr. Heck. He's milking everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
Seeing no one, I'll make a motion to close public.
Second.
Roll call.
Mayor Noonan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Matty-Landis?
Yes.
Councilmembers Baumgartner?
Yes.
Care?
Yes.
Mubaki?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
And Spear?
Alrighty, at this point, we're going to get into your manager's report.
Yes. And I'm not going to even respond to that ridiculous rant.